life, it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see it through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome, feeling so right. With diet-free life, it helps futures lose pride.
Let's wrap it up, baby. Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up. Hello, everybody. This is Robert Ferguson, your nutritionist, a guy who shares because I care, and today is no different. Actually, today is different because I have a guest, someone that I recently met who, the short of it, she lost 243 pounds. 243 pounds. Now, I've been helping people lose weight, get off medications, improve overall health. We've put together an evidence-based, clinically proven methodology. We've worked with big, giant companies, tons of celebrities, pro athletes. And in all of my years of doing what I've done, I have one client, and I've helped thousands of people. I have one client that was my client a little over 20 years ago that I helped her lose 290 pounds. And she's kept the weight off. Now, I've had quite a few lose over 200 pounds, thousands lose over 100 pounds. And of course, you have everything in between. But what's different about what Claudia did, and you'll hear it from her, is that Claudia, she did it on her own. She made a decision. And she wasn't a nutritionist. She didn't have a coach. And I'm sure in her story, I would be willing to bet she probably had some challenges just because of environment. But whatever the case, she did it. And we can all learn from it. See, I've always been a big believer to this day and forever and ever and ever in the three-legged stool, meaning whenever you want to improve any part of your life, especially if you want to lose weight and establish a lifestyle, that there's three legs to that stool. You have mindset, motivation, right? That's one leg. You have nutrition. That's another leg. And then you have fitness or activity. Those three, to me, are equally important. Some of us are really good with nutrition, but yet we don't do well with fitness. Some of us do really, really well with fitness, but struggle with nutrition. Some of you, because I've had clients who are judges, executives, rich, poor, and they got the fitness down. They can quote things when it comes to fitness. They got the nutrition down. They got books all over the house, but they don't have the mindset. So you can have the knowledge, but if you don't have the mindset, I'm telling you, you can only go so far. So they're all equally important, and each one of us is stronger in other areas compared to each other. But at the end of the day, they're all important. Now, before I bring Claudia on, let me just take a moment and invite you to our upcoming Food as Medicine conference. It's online. Sign up now because we have the early bird special. I'm talking 75% off. That will change this coming week. So if you're going to come on board, get on board ASAP. Other than that, we have other links. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter. And if you would like a free consultation with me or any of our coaches, just reach out, schedule it, and we will get in touch with you. Okay. I am so happy that we're at a place now where we can bring her on. All right, we are going to bring on Claudia. Okay, so without further delay, let's bring her on. What's up, Claudia?
Hi, Robert. How's it going?
It is going, and I'm so thankful. It's one thing to meet someone over the phone, but,
Yes.
A couple weeks ago, I got to meet you in person.
Yes.
And you are so much more than what I experienced over the phone. And what I experienced over the phone was amazing.
Thank you.
So now, before we dive in, I just want to bring up a picture because that's you.
Hmm. Yes, that's me. That was 2014.
And when you look at a picture like that, when you look at yourself in reflection, because that person seems like she's kind of happy.
Hmm.
What was going on? Tell us about her.
You know, I think where I stand now and when I see her, I think she needed to be in that space because she needed to feel protected. You know, she needed to feel some type of isolation from the world. So I think that's how you know, she went about her everyday life thinking that it was okay to live like that because she didn't know any better. She didn't know what self-love was. She thought loving was outside. It was an outside work, not internally. And seeing her, it I hug her a lot, and the person that I am now is someone that I wish she had when she needed help. But I created her because that's who I needed to be at that time in my life for
Now,
security reasons.
okay.
Hmm.
Now, one of the things, you guys get ready because Claudia does not hold back. She just keeps it real.
No.
I mean,
Yes.
that part, like meeting you, I mean, and then watching you share information with all these wellness and health experts, just openly, man, have you always
Mhm.
been that open? I mean, because what people are about to hear, you keep it real.
Yes, I think that's always been something that I've always carried with myself is just being so raw and so authentic. And sometimes they would get it was a miscommunication or maybe misinterpret because I just don't know how to put on a mask. I mean, even at 430 pounds, I always just stayed true to myself, you know? That's just the way my parents always taught me to be exactly who I wanted to be. And even though I was 430 pounds, I was still me. And, you know, if something didn't sit right with me, I would say it out loud. That was just the rawness of who I am. And I think I'm a little bit more because I have the facts to back it up, you know? So
Okay, well, tell
it's
me, because a lot of people when they look at your after photo, and I'm sure when you meet people and you
mm,
say, "I used to weigh 430 pounds," they look at you and go,
mm,
"Yeah, right." Um,
yeah.
were you heavy as a kid?
No. I was a normal size child. My weight started coming in when I was about 8 years old. Between 8 and 9, that's when I started experiencing the the control of food. Why? Because when I was a little girl, I was raped, and I was taken advantage of, and I was raped 5 times by 5 different family members, men. And so I
Hey.
used food to cover up that pain. You know, I didn't speak about it. I never was able to, you know, my mom never raised us to say, hey, if someone touches you, you know, you speak up. So I used food to cover up that pain, and I just figured, you know what, men like skinny girls, men like, you know, women that are attractive and pretty, so I don't want to be that. So I turned to food as my coping mechanism, my addiction to get myself at 430 pounds. And that's why I say I needed her for protection. You know, that's who I created at that time because that was my only safety. I didn't know what safety was because of all the rapes that I've had in my life. And food was just, it was my happy. It was what made me happy.
Now, when you started gaining weight to give
Mhm.
yourself protection because you felt
Mhm.
men would want someone thinner, which this is very common, right?
Mhm.
Uh, did you notice that you got less attention from men as you gain weight?
Yes. a lot. As a child, I really didn't, think about it. I just knew that I became addicted to food. As I started in my teenage years, when the hormones start coming up and you start noticing guys at school, that cute guy, I did notice that guys wouldn't look at me, they wouldn't acknowledge me. And at the same time, it was what I wanted. So I actually was manifesting without even knowing. I was creating that woman, that girl that didn't want to be seen. Why? Because in my mind, men hurt. And I never spoke about it. So I never knew that it actually would happen to other women. I just thought it happened to me. So I lived in a victim mentality, in the scarcity and the why me type of, lifestyle. I never spoke up about it. But, Robert, when I actually decided to speak about it, um, the first time I spoke about it, I was 14 years old and I spoke about it to my best friend. And, when I told her that I had been, raped and molested as a little girl, her answer was, "Me too."
Mm.
And that's when I realized that there was a bigger problem. There was a bigger need because um I thought I was the only human in the whole entire world. I mean, I'm talking about this little 8-year-old girl. She didn't know anything. And then it goes back to when, these monsters touch you, the first thing they tell you is, don't tell no one, or because then you're going to get in trouble. And let me tell you, there's no little 8-year-old girl that wants to be in trouble.
Right.
No one wants to be in trouble at 8 years old, right? So it became more of a wake up call, like, wow, I'm not the only one. So what does this look like? And as I started speaking about it more, I noticed that I started healing myself. And I started noticing that out of 5 women that I would speak to, 3 of them would say, "Me too." And
Wow.
that was a big shocker for me.
Now, did you ever share this with your parents?
Not until COVID. Not
Okay.
about what, 4 years ago. I actually started healing. I started, understanding where my food addiction came. I always knew what had happened to me, but I kind of like put it on the bottom of the rug, and like I said, I never really talked about it to my parents because once again it was family members. And what would that Thanksgiving dinner look like without that one uncle that did what he did to me?
Wow.
Were my parents gonna believe me? Were they gonna think, oh, that little girl's just making up a story? Or that Christmas wouldn't be the same because that cousin wasn't gonna be there? Or it was gonna be like animosity? Or I didn't know what that was going to look like. So I just never spoke about it. So when I actually did, I came clean to my parents. Um, it was pretty tough because, you know what, Robert, I don't blame my parents. Just because I feel like I don't blame anyone. It was something that they had to go through. It's something that they did to me. And just taking myself out of that victim mentality is how I started healing, and I started learning that um it was okay. It wasn't my fault.
Wow. So you've been healing yourself, right? It wasn't like,
100%
yeah.
all by myself. I tried one time. You know, I'm good. Like you say, I'm very raw. I tried to do therapy one time, and I went to a therapist, and as I was sitting there, I was kind of scared. She was a nice skinny Caucasian lady with a bunch of certificates in the back of her, consultation. And as I started, kind of talking to her a little bit about why I was there, the first thing she said was, "I understand." And then I said, "You understand what?" She said, "Well, I could just understand." And I said, "So you're telling me that you've been raped too?" And she said, "No." And I said, "So then how do you understand?" I'm Mexican. I grew up very Catholic. I grew up with in a minority, you know, lifestyle. And I didn't understand when she said, I understand, because she actually didn't understand.
Right.
So I said, you know what? Thank you for your time. I don't discredit your certificates and whatnot, but you will never understand. So I got up and I decided to heal my own self, because the
Mm.
only one that was going to be able to help me was that woman in the mirror, because she was the
Wow.
only one that was going to be able to reflect and understand completely. That woman in the mirror was going to be the one that was going to save me and get me out of that dark, that rabbit hole you know
Well, I'm glad that you're sharing this because in working with so many women over the years, I've heard again and again and again and again, and still to this day, I hear it and when I'm coaching clients, how a lot of their challenge has been based on what they had to go through as a younger person.
Yep.
Whether it was sexual harassment, molestation, being raped. So I'm familiar with it, and it's good to hear because I'm sure others are hearing your story, and they can
Hmm.
relate because, like you said, with the first person you told, me too. Um,
Hmm.
Now, before we transition to the next part of our conversation, I'm curious to know: did you ever confront those family members? Was that part of
Wow.
your therapy?
Yes. Over COVID, I came across, a life coach, and he was great and he helped me a lot. And one of the homeworks that he said, okay, you're going to call one of your cousins and you're going to tell him that you've been working out and you've been healing and that you need to give him back that pain. And we would meet every Tuesday. And that Tuesday, he said, we'll meet Tuesday again, and you tell me all about how that conversation. And Tuesday came and he said, how was it? And I said, I couldn't do it. He said, okay, I'm giving you back your money. He's like, you're not ready for this. So he put a lot of pressure on me. He said, we will connect when you call. And he immediately turned off that. And I was left like, but now I understand why he did that. So um, I cried a lot that night. And the following day, I said, this is the time. So I called. It was late at night. And I said, hey, how's it going? And he's like, hey, cousin, how's it going? And I said, hey, I said, do you have a couple of minutes? I said, I just want to be really brief. I said, I'm sure you're busy and whatnot. I said, I want to, oh, but before that, he said, I see that you're losing weight. Good job. I'm so proud of you. You're doing such a good job. And I said, all right, thank you. I already had lost about 150 pounds, and I was in the middle of my weight loss journey. And I said, really quick, I said, I actually want to talk to you about that night. And he stood quiet, and I thought he hung up the phone. And I said, are you there? He said, yes, I'm right here. And I said, okay, good. I said, just really quick. And my coach said, don't get into details, just give it back. And so I said, I just want to tell you that, I'm healing a lot. I said, and I want to give you back my pain. I said, I want to give you back all the years of just the pain that you caused me because you took advantage of my body. You took advantage of a little girl. Um, and what you do with it is it's none of my business. You could hang up this phone call and just go about your life. That's okay. You could just disregard this. I said, but I just want you to know that this no longer serves me. I don't want it. It doesn't serve me anything, and I'm gonna give it back to you. And what you do with it has nothing to do with me, but I'm giving you with a lot of love. Like, this is me calling you with a lot of love, no hate, no. And I said, and no one's going to know about this. I'm not going to call my aunt or tell my parents. I said, this is just me and you, because it was only me and you.
Mm.
And hung up the phone.
Did he say
uh
sorry? Did he have a moment of "I'm sorry, cousin," or
uh
was he just
he
quiet the whole time?
he he was kind of quiet. I don't think he understood so much of what I was actually like giving him, but I know he was conscious of what I was talking to him about. And the only thing that I remember him saying was, I didn't realize I caused you so much pain. And I said, you did. I said, but I want you back. I want you to have that pain. I said, because I don't want it no more. I said, and there's a point where I'm going to have surgery for my skin removal. I said, and I want you to help me. I want you to sponsor me. I said, because you're going to help me take the skin off. And he said, okay. And that was it. And I said, okay, I got to go. And I made it really quick. And you know what, Robert? About 2 months after that conversation, he committed suicide.
No
Uh,
way.
and it
Oh,
was at first I was kind of mad, I didn't feel like no sympathy. I was like, oh my God, you can I cuss?
yeah.
I said, you coward piece of shit. I can't believe you just straight up like, you just checked out like that. Just straight up. I was like, and it just made me realize that I was on the right path, that everything that I had felt, I actually gave him that energy and he could not handle it. There was no way. I think those 2 months he lived in constant,
Oh, I bet.
he overdosed. And I know that it was really, it was, it just came out of nowhere, you know? And
Wow.
then I did it again. I did it again with another cousin of mine, you know, he lived in Mexico, and he didn't answer my phone call for whatever reason. But I said, you know what? I know you check your Facebook, so I'm gonna send you a quick little message on your little, messenger. And I was really brief. I said, hey, I said, I just, just stopping by really quick. I said, I just want to let you know I'm healing. I said, I want to just give you back the pain that you gave me when you he didn't the second one, he didn't rape me, but he did abuse me and he did molest me and he made me do things that I didn't want to do sexually. He never penetrated me, but I said, I just want to give you back this pain. I said, because it just, I don't want it, and you could have it, and I'm sending it with a lot of love. And this one, within a week, he had an accident and he also passed away. So,
Oh, geez. I
and
mean,
it was just, yeah, that was that pain that I had, that I released it. I gave it back. And I don't think they understood how much that pain was, that they couldn't handle it.
no. Wow. Okay, so already people can see that you are a superwoman, or
Yes.
superhuman, however we want to refer to it. Okay, so you had this pain, you've gone through a lot.
Hmm.
You How did it happen as far as the beginning of you saying, I am done hanging on to this weight and I'm gonna do something about it? Because your story, you've shared it with me, but
Hmm.
please don't leave any stones left
Yeah.
unturned because your story is amazing.
Yeah. So how I started my weight loss journey, my healing journey, was I had a cousin that we had the same body type. He was about 400 pounds as well. He lived in LA, and he passed away from being morbidly obese. And I believe he just didn't wake up from his sleep, and I remember about 2 weeks prior to that, I had reached out to him because my mom said that he had gotten sick. So I reached out and I was like, hey, what's up? And I was like, I can't really be telling him to get his life together when we both are 400 plus pounds, right? But he's my cousin, and he was such a sweetheart. He was just an angel. And he just didn't wake up. So when I traveled to California for his funeral services, we actually had to wait because we needed there was a special coffin for his body type. It wasn't just your standard one where you go and you get it, you choose it, and that's it. It was we had to wait for it. So when the services came around, we traveled to California, to Los Angeles. And you know what, Robert, when I seen that coffin and I seen him in it, I seen myself, and that hurt. That was like the beginning. And the whole time that we're in the services, I'm just like, that looks like me. Like I'm seeing me and I'm seeing the background. I'm seeing everyone cry and I'm seeing, and he was young. He was I don't know, maybe in his early 30s, late 20s. He was a young man. And so it stayed with me. He passed away December 31st of 2015. And so from that time to 5 months of me just that agony of watching, I kept repeating that same visual of me being in that coffin. And my kids were small. My little girl was about 4 years old at that time, and my son was a baby. He was like three, like he was 2 years old, I believe. And so, for 4 or 5 months, it just dragged on me until what made me really, really just said, you know what, this is it. That's it. I'm not gonna go on like a sucker. Was I said, okay, worst thing that happens is I don't wake up, right? I die. And my ex, the father of my children at that time, we lived together, and I thought, you know what? He has every single right to redo his life and find someone that's going to help him and love him. And he's a young man, very handsome, and he has every right to find someone that's going to love him with two little kids, right? And so this was my moment. I said, this woman that he meets, um, she's either going to be a monster, like a mean stepmom to my child, to both my kids, and
Yeah.
she's going to be like that wicked, stepmom and just being mean to my kids, or she'll be the most amazing woman to my kids, and my kids will forget about me. And I said, well, it's neither. So that May 2nd, 2016, I got up from the couch and I said, I'll be right back. And I went to a park down the street from my house called Sunset Park. And I just remember walking. I didn't go and change my diet. I didn't go and buy, nutrition food. I didn't know anything. I was 430 pounds, just desperate. I didn't go buy new tennies. I didn't go get new outfit, nothing. I just said, you know what? I'll be right back. I went to the park and I just looked up and I said, I don't know what you look like. I said, I need your help. I don't know. I don't even know if you exist, but I need you to help me. I need you to show me that I can change my life through you. Nothing's going to happen if you don't help me, because all my life my mom taught me about, I grew up Catholic, so everything was like a guilt, guilt, guilt. Um but it was more like I wanted to connect to something higher, you know? And so I said, and at that time I had a lot of rage in my life. I said, and I'm going to show up tomorrow and you better be here. And I don't care if you're busy with someone else, but I'm going to be here tomorrow. So whatever it is that you're out there helping someone else, I need you to come to me because I need you to help me. And that track took me 37 minutes. I cried. I don't know if it was sweat, snot, tears, but I just remember listening to myself. And I was 430 pounds. That was a lot of weight that was walking. I never walked in my life. I started having sciatic pain nerve, heel spurs, my knees. I mean, you could think of everything that just would make me to stop. But there was something that said, no, you're gonna just keep walking. As time progressed, um, every week it would get better and better. And so I would say, okay, I started walking very slowly. From walking, it went from walking to power walking. From power walking, I started kind of like jogging little pieces. And then I'd be like, okay, what if you just jog to that little bush over there? Let's go. And so I would just jog to the bush. And I'm like, okay, well, how about if you just jog a little more? And then I started running and just, it was just steps. I didn't think of anything besides just me showing up to that track. The longest that took that track was 37 minutes. And my goal was to every week, even if it was 20 seconds, to beat that same goal, that goal and goal and goal. So every week I would put myself a goal, even if it was 2 seconds that I beat that one. I wasn't hard on myself. That is one thing that I learned was to start being patient with myself and just to listen to my heart. And the lowest on that track was 14 minutes. So I went from 37 minutes to 14 minutes. And I just started running and running, and and I started connecting with a new version of myself every single day
Now,
in the
can I?
mirror.
I'm going to assume.
Mhm,
Well, I don't want to assume. So, but
mhm,
for clarity, for those, when you
mhm.
say the person you were talking to was God,
Yes, God,
right? So, with
God,
God,
God Almighty.
so would it be accurate for me to say that there's a part of you that surrendered to everything
100%.
else and to God, and you said, "Help me,"
Yep,
and
yep,
then you showed up, and God showed up, and together you started walking around this track.
yes.
And did at that point did you start eating a little different, or did you stop eating what you ate that got you to 400? Like, what did you do with nutrition, or there was no nutrition at first?
At first, there was absolutely no nutrition knowledge or nothing. I just would go to the park. And then, but what I noticed was that the food that I was eating was not complementing my workouts. My workouts were just walking. And I would just be like, God, I feel so heavy today. And so when I would walk, I didn't listen to music, nothing. It was just me and God. And so I would like have a whole like it was like I would put PowerPoints in my mind of like, okay, what did you do? What did you eat today? What was your food like today? What did you go eat for breakfast? What did you go eat? So 430 pounds, you could imagine what a breakfast looked like. I think I consumed maybe like 2,000 calories in just breakfast. you know I worked for the government, worked for the state of Nevada for 20 years, and across the street from my office was a fast food restaurant, Sonic, and I used to go and get the Texas toast sandwich with extra mayo, extra bacon, a large diet coke, and tater tots with a lot of ketchup, and that was my breakfast. And but it goes back to that hunger. I didn't know how to control it. All I did was started to walk. Then I started realizing, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't eat this, and maybe my workouts will be better. Maybe my walk tonight will be better. I won't feel so heavy.
Man,
So I started just cutting out the foods that got me to 430 pounds. Um then I started realizing that, okay, nutrition has a lot to do with it. So I started cutting out my biggest thing was, Mexican bread. I wouldn't eat it. I changed everything from I never followed a diet. I didn't have recognition of anything, Robert. I was 430 pounds. I didn't know what a diet was. I heard diet and I was like, I just feel like I was so like I was caged when I would hear the word diet. So I said, well, I don't want it to be a diet. I just want to stop eating what I'm eating that got me to 430 pounds and just be a little bit more smart. So I started boiling eggs, which that's always been my staple till this day. I boil about 18 eggs and I'll eat those in the morning because that's something that's just easier for me. And I just
hmm,
started really focusing on my diet. And when I say diet, I mean like I started realizing that what was in my plate. What did my plate look like? My plate needed to have greens, and mind you, I didn't know. I never took a nutrition class. I never spoke to a nutritionist. I nothing. I just figured, you know, and I'm talking about 8, 9 years ago when I started my journey. I just figured protein, vegetables, and try. And in my mind, I would just stay away from carbs because it's so tabooed. Like carbs, stay away. Not realizing that I can have a little bit of carbs, right? I started educating myself. I started reading. I would go on YouTube. I just started just consuming so much information. And so I started putting boundaries, not on my ex, because he noticed so much change and he'd be like, "Oh, mommy, I brought you some bread." And I'm like, "I don't want to eat that." And so it became you know, in my journey, there was a lot of monsters that came with that, you know, and I needed to learn how to also remove those barriers, those blocks, those, you know, those big mountains that I had to climb. And I just said, you know what? Um, Boundary is not my ex. Boundary is not that Mexican sweet bread. Boundary is me, you know, me setting the boundary for myself. And then I just started really just focusing. I paid attention to what my plate looked like every single night. And then I started eating in my little kids' plates. Because when you get a regular plate, you know, you want to fill it, because if it's kind of empty spots, you feel like, you know, you're not eating enough. So
Right.
I started using my kids' little plates, you know, I started using the small little plastic plates. And so then the little bit that I would put on my plate, it looked like it was a lot, you know. So everything's mindset. Everything is how you see you change. It's a shift, it's a mind shift, you know. So I started shopping. I read an article about how it's important to, when you go to the grocery store, you know that is not to go hungry, because you want to buy everything, you know. I learned that you want to stay in the outside of the grocery store, because everything inside is what's processed. So I stayed outside. Everything in my cart was from the outside aisles. And I started educating myself. I started loving myself. I started having a relationship with that woman in the mirror. And let me tell you, she is amazing. She is what got me to where I'm at right now. You know, I gave her the opportunity to show herself, you know?
Right. Now going through that process, and tell me if this is your experience or you've heard this. Many, and I've seen this, and what I'm referring to is that many women who are in a relationship oftentimes are not able to be as successful because their partner, lover, husband, boyfriend, whatever you want to
Hmm.
refer to it as,
Hmm.
is starting to bring home a lot of things that they've decided they're not going to eat, but now this person feels like they're showing love to bring home some of your past favorite foods. And then the energy starts to shift because they didn't
Hmm.
marry a woman who loses 200 and 30 something pounds or 20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They married someone
Hmm.
who was 430 pounds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as you were transforming, how did your, I don't know, ex maybe,
Yeah. Yeah. My
how
yes.
did he deal
Hmm.
with that? What was that like? How did you navigate that?
At first, he was, you know, he thought it was more like, you know, as he would see me kind of roller coast, you know, through, I want to lose weight, or I just want to be healthy. And then he thought, you know, oh, she's going to fall off at some point, you know, which I kind of expected that too. But like I said, I started really just digging deep down inside of me. And so what happened was, I noticed that he started bringing, like, he would stop at this you know, bakery, this Mexican bakery, and he would come home, he's like, oh mommy, I stopped at that bakery. And I'm like, why, if it's not on your way home? Like, why would you do that? You know? And so it became a battlefield in my home, because I was the one that would make dinner, you know. And so I would change my plate, and I would still make his food, but then he would be like, oh, do you want to go out and have dinner? Oh, tell your mom if she could watch the kids so we could go have dinner, and I'll take you to your favorite restaurant. And I would indulge. But there was a time where I said, you know what, no, I don't want to. So then he started becoming a little meanie weenie, you know. And he would, you know, I would tell him, like, I'm gonna go to the park, I'll be back. And he's like, you're always at the park, why do you always want to go to the park? You don't want to spend time with us. And I said, well, you could come to the park, and there's a little playing area, and you can hang out with the kids. I'm going to go take a walk, or you could come with me, and I'll put my little boy in the, you know, little stroller, and we could come walk together. Never wanted to do it. So I just said, okay, well then I'll be right back. And that became a problem. And then in the middle of my journey, he noticed that I started becoming more loving, more caring. Um,
More
Life was
confident.
more confident, and he liked it, but then it almost became like a double-edged sword for him. Like, oh, why do you always gonna go? You don't want to hang out with me. And I said, no, I do, but I gotta go take a walk and then I'll be right back. Like, I just put myself as a priority. Me, I was always number one. And he didn't like that because for a long time he was number one.
Now,
You
what do
know,
you
I
say to other
catered to this.
women? Let me just jump in there because there's other women. I'm telling you,
Uh-huh.
and I believe you
Yeah.
know this. There's a lot of women who are going through this
Yeah.
right
Yeah. It's
now.
tough
Yeah.
because you know what? We tend to want love, we um but no one's going to love you like you love yourself, honestly. And so when I started loving myself, I started realizing that, he was putting so many barriers, and he was, like I said, he was becoming a meanie weenie. And I said, you know what? No, I'm going to stick to my guns. And there is, and as much as, he loved me at 400 pounds, but I started loving on myself. I started realizing that there was no one that was going to love me more than myself. And I
Mm.
was not going to put up with any more bullshit. I wasn't going to put up with him disrespecting me, making me feel less than, or telling me, oh, but I love you just the way you are. I know that, but I love me better. That was my life right there. That was me every day, all day. And I
Now,
just,
what happened with that picture right there? Are you really like who took that photo?
I have no idea. Till this day, I always tell, and that's at my parents' house. And I'm like, who would take that picture of me? But that just shows you that was my life. I would hang out anywhere I would go. I would always just, I must have just finished eating right there. That was I had gotten a certificate there for, at my job for, like I said, I worked for the government for 20 years. So I had this really awesome certificate for going above and beyond. I was always happy go lucky, but that was me. That was me every day. Just I was always happy, but I was hurting myself. I didn't realize how much I hated myself. I honestly
Mm.
did. I would hate to wake up every morning. I was mad that I would wake up. Every morning I'd be like, "Oh, again? I don't want to wake up." You know? But there was something that just kept my heart beating. And and honestly, and just to go back really quick, Robert, if I could share something with a lot of women that are overweight, that their partners are not supportive, why are you doing that to yourself? Don't do that. You deserve better than that. My coach once said, you are like this top of the line, high end yacht with cooks, with uh, servants, with whatever you want. You have the best food and you have this amazing state of the art yacht. He's like, but you're never going to move because you got your anchor right there. And that hurt. And
Ooh,
I
see
was
a
like,
lot. See
ouch.
a lot of women don't want to even hear that because they feel like, hey, I've been married 30 years, 40 years. This guy's not going to change, and so they just keep caving. They
You live in
never.
a drug house.
Yeah.
You're never going to heal. You're never going to heal until you remove yourself from that energy and start realizing that no one's going to love you like you love yourself. Not even that 30-year relationship, that history that you had. You can't be faithful to someone if you're not faithful to yourself. That woman in the mirror is you're going to develop a new relationship. Something that I did in my weight loss journey was have a relationship with the woman in the mirror, because how many times do we see ourselves? The first thing that we do, we wake up, what, and we go straight to the restroom, use the restroom, and then, we shower, and then we brush our teeth, and you're looking at yourself in the mirror. You do your hair, your makeup, make sure your eyelashes are done, you don't have nothing going on in your face, and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, right? But how many times do you actually look at yourself in the mirror and actually say, I love you? Me. I would always say, I love you. And it took me a while to say it. But we say I love you to the cats, the dogs, the neighbors, your kids. You come home from school, from work, from a long day, and the first thing you say is, I love you. You send a text to your friend, I love you. But how many times do you say, I love you to yourself? Like, honestly, when was the last time that you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, I love you,
Right.
and meant it?
Well, you
And
definitely
that's where
meant
that love
it
is. There it is.
when you,
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of people
That's me
who
in the mirror.
are over 400 pounds and they're afraid to lose weight because of the concern of the skin.
That's
Um,
okay.
and you tackled it. And look, I mean, you show these pictures
Hmm.
publicly,
Hmm. Yes.
and
I'm very raw.
I mean, you just keep it real.
Yep. 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 Because once again, I wish, that morbidly obese woman had someone like who I am right now.
Right.
You know, I wish there was someone like me right now that could speak to that woman and say, you can do it as long as you don't give up. You have to stay in it. How I also was able to break away from my ex was, I noticed that everything I started doing was party of three. If I'd go anywhere with my kids, party of three, party of three. And he was never around. He never wanted to really hang out. He would always be home. And so I said, you know what? Well, then let's fucking make it party of three. You gotta go. And that's exactly what I did. I told him, I said, you have 30 days to move out, and there's just no, I don't, and you could take whatever you want. You could take the TV, you could take whatever it is you want, but you can't take me and my kids. And that's exactly how it went. And it's really the power of like, visualize what you can't see. You have to visualize yourself, and you have to just walk every single day. And so I made it a party of three because I started speaking it into existence. I started manifesting party of three, party of three. Well, let's go, party of three. And so it's still party of three. I haven't dated, and that's okay because I'm dating myself. I'm getting to learn a new version of myself, and there's no man out there that's going to love you like you love yourself. And if you don't know how to love yourself, start with having a conversation with the lady in the mirror, because honestly, that's who's going to get you to where you want to be.
I love it. Well, Susie
Yes.
posted, she said, pan dulce, dulce,
Pan
pan,
dulce and
Mexican
Mexican
bread is
bread
it?
is a huge challenge for all of us. Yes, it is. It
Okay.
is.
But,
It sure is. Uh-huh.
I'm gonna bring Sharon into this conversation because you met
Yes.
Sharon, and Sharon's
Yes, I did.
she's my we have some real fun spiritual conversations, and that's what I pick up from you. And so it'd be
Yes.
interesting to hear what Sharon's thinking, and I'm sure she may have some questions because she's in she's on her journey to lose weight
Yes.
and to constantly improve her health. So let's see here. Let's bring Sharon on here. What's up, Sharon?
Wow, Claudia, it
Hi,
was.
Sharon again.
I can't wait to watch the replay of this because I got here a few minutes late, but I'm in awe. You are amazing, and I was almost going to put in the chat. Don't bother with me,
Thank you.
Robert. Keep this lady talking because she's awesome. You know?
Well, I
Thank
And
you.
mean,
Thank you,
yeah,
Sharon.
but I would love your perspective because I'm sure you have a question. And yeah, the beginning of our conversation, she laid it down extremely well. She's very well spoken, as you know, and
yeah,
shared her story. And I would love if ever, like, okay, actually, I'll share this story with you guys because this happened to me, I don't know, 25 years ago. And what happens, I went to Hawaii to meet with a woman who is a psychologist. And I was wanting at that point to get into a doctorate program. So I got my master's in counseling psychology. And so I wanted to meet with this woman because she was a pioneer when it came to the person who would interview people who were in line to get bariatric surgery. And so I go meet with her and think about Hawaii. We have a lot of Tonga, Samoans, people when they look at like to be heavy, they see that still as beautiful.
mm,
Hmm.
And you started
Yep.
having quite a few of those people in those populations getting the surgery because they wanted to be healthier, they wanted to lose weight. And I asked her, I said, can I ask you this question? She says, sure, whatever you want to ask. I said, if people could go and learn how to love themselves, if they could upgrade their self-esteem, do you think if people took a course like that we would still need bariatric surgery? And she looked at me and she says, no. So exactly what you did, Claudia, by putting in the energy and discovering how to love yourself and to get God in your corner,
Yes.
is exactly what this woman was saying. Like,
Yeah,
you did it. And I'm sure, Sharon, you know what I'm saying, right? Because that's a big part of a lot of your
absolutely.
training in the past, right?
And it's a lot of my ongoing work. I mean, I realize almost on a karmic level, what I've been clearing my whole life is trusting, period, but certainly
Mhm.
allowing God in, and clearing the self-judgment. As long as I didn't
Yes.
have God in my picture, I had to do everything and know everything, and every problem was mine to fix, and I couldn't do it.
Mhm.
It wasn't until I brought God in that I was really freer to go beyond the platitudes of I love myself to really loving myself and really getting that I am loved and cared for by a loving God. And I have these
That's right.
conversations with Jesus almost every day. And he would say, I love you. It would be,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and I have a written dialogue for the last couple of years of, I love you. Yes. And I go, and he would just cut through to, I love you. Listen to me. I can help you. And so as you were saying that, I was like in awe because I still struggle with, am I writing this or is God really talking to me? So, and I get that it's all good, and every morning I do, when I'm brushing my teeth, I make sure I look up in the mirror and say I
Mhm.
love you and smile every
That's
day. I
right.
smile and say I love you
Well,
no matter what else happens.
now,
Yeah.
do
And
you? Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Now, I was just going to
You know
ask
what?
Claudia.
It's the most easiest thing to do, yet the hardest. Because it
And
took me a
some
long time to actually say it. I love you. I would say it in my mind and I would say it. I would say it. I just never spoke up about it until I actually said it. I love you. That was a game changer. It
and
really is.
I
And it's
once
so easy.
sat in front of a mirror naked for hours and looked at myself and
Mhm.
said, I love you, and talked to myself with
Mhm.
great love and
Mhm.
looked at every flaw and every wrinkle and every blah, blah, and loved every part of myself. And that I
Mhm.
actually, in those days, we were using tape recorders. I taped my conversation with myself to remind myself forever. I've
Mhm.
lost the tape, but
Yeah.
um, but
Well,
that was
I have a challenge for you, Sharon.
okay.
So I like to see you just say, you know what? I love myself. I'm gonna go live on Facebook and just put a camera butt naked, and I'm just gonna.
Nah, 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 I ain't gonna do it. I'll tell you that right now. I can't
You know
even do
what,
the
Sharon?
bra and panties thing. I can't even do that.
Yeah, you know what, Sharon? That's something that that's how I started. I started really doing a lot of mirror work. Was just completely raw, no clothes on. I have a lot of pictures of my progress of just me holding, kind of covering my breast for pictures because my stomach wouldn't show my private. I would hide it, and it goes back to there. You go. That was me. That's me doing the work and just saying I love you. Just complete. Now you see that I'm wearing some panties and a bra, but there was a time where I covered my private. Why? Because that's where everything started. Someone took advantage of it, so I covered it. I put it away. I hid it. So I would take pictures like that. In those pictures, I would just always tell myself, I love you. And I'm perfectly in God's eyes, and God made me like this. And everything that I am going through is because that's what God needed me to go through so that I could be in this moment now and show women that you can change and you can heal. You can improve.
I don't have it at my fingertips, but I have a poem from the University of Santa Monica, Robert, that is it's a marriage prayer. The only person you're going to be with for the rest of your life is you. I'm going to
That's
find this
right.
prayer and send it to you, Claudia, because
Okay. I
you'll
would
love
love
it.
that. Thank
Well, I
you.
mean,
You'll
I
love
would like to get a copy of it too, Sharon.
it. Okay, I will send it to you.
So let me give you a little recap, Sharon, and then then Claudia, I want you to take it to the next step or the next level
Okay.
of understanding. Is Claudia was very clear up front about the pain she was in. She had been taken advantage of by men as a young kid and was dealing with that pain. And she also shared how she gave it back to some of these people by getting to a place where she could do that. And she talked about how she got started going to the track and the pain she was going through and how she got better. But I remember you also saying, Claudia, that you got to a place where you said, okay, I'm going to stop eating the foods that I was eating and then the way I ate them to gain all this weight.
Mhm.
And now I'm going to start eating I'm going to eat only things that come from the oven. I mean, I don't know.
So
Yeah.
it was like logical to her to eat protein and vegetables and forget all the other stuff.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
innately, walk us through like all the little changes and challenges that you did
Mhm.
to as far as how you approach nutrition without knowledge. You just innately did it with God's help, of course.
Yes. So I started, like I said, I started YouTubing healthy foods. I started, Instagram became more popular and more popular. So I started really focusing on finding nutritional coaches, what works, because really, um, like I said, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. You have to change your mindset to a lifestyle. There's no diet that works. You have to just be aware of everything that goes in your mouth. And like I told you, I started shopping outside the aisles. I stopped eating a lot of processed foods. I focused on making my plate look more vibrant. Protein, any kind of protein. I don't eat pork only because my ex, that was his go-to meat of choice, his protein of choice. And I'll eat it. I'll have some bacon, whatnot. It's just something I choose not to do. But pork is great, right? It's just something that I don't like to do. But I started really focusing on, okay, well, what is this person doing? What is this person doing? I started just grabbing from everyone. I became like this nutritionist junkie. Like I just became this woman that just was into everybody. There was no right or wrong nutritional coach that I was being approached by, because once again, the universe and God works with you if you allow yourself to be taught. you know
Mm.
um what you seek is seeking you. What
But
you
what's
want
also
also wants you.
what's interesting, Claudia, is that you had the discernment without having Robert as your coach. You had the
Yeah.
discernment to do that, because if I sort through all the information out there, eggs are good for you, eggs are bad for you, cholesterol's
Hmm. Hmm.
really bad, and who cares about
Yeah.
it? I mean,
Yeah.
whatever it is that whatever you want to support yourself with is out
Yeah.
there, and
Yes.
you can find somebody who, what was that stupid thing you played once where this guy was telling you, don't eat vegetables, don't eat protein? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Who was
there's a
that?
lot of crazy information out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I
yet
came
you have
across.
the discernment, which is
Mhm.
really, and for me,
Yes.
the challenge that I am finally breaking through
Mhm.
is that deep down inside, I really didn't believe. I know that this works. I know that it's logical. It makes sense to me. But there's this other
Mhm.
part of me says, yeah, but it won't work for me. And
Yeah.
and I can't lose the weight. And last week Robert said something to me that clicked in my brain, because he said, you get right up to the edge and then you sabotage yourself, which is true. And
Mhm.
it was like, one, I realize there's more inner work to do to stop that sabotage voice. But in addition, I'm taking different action. I may want to sabotage, and it's like I'm walking around the grocery store. Oh, there's the little tiramisu. Well, Polly would love that.
Mhm.
I'm not taking it.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I'm making better choices, because when I'm about to eat something that I know isn't good for me, I don't eat it. But
Right.
that's not easy. A lot of times, oh, you can just, oh well, just once, who cares? It's not going to kill you. It won't matter, and
Yeah.
you're good enough. I look at
Yeah.
myself, and compared
Yeah.
to 400 pounds, I'm good enough.
Yeah.
But I know I can be. I know I can be more. I can do even better. And it's
Right.
not, it's
Yes.
partly about being beautiful, but it's
Hmm.
mostly about health, and it's mostly for
Yes.
me about self-mastery. And I
Right.
think
Yes.
I think the self-mastery piece has been another one of my lifelong things. It's like, well, when I lose the weight, then someone will love me. When I weighed
Mm.
110, I felt like that. Give me a
Right.
Yeah.
break.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, so this is
Yeah.
what I want to do. I want to switch it up a little bit.
Hmm.
We have a good 15, 20 minutes left. And so I'm going to ask you to do something, Sharon. And so I'm going to consult Sharon, and her job is to go to Claudia and ask some questions. So
Okay.
so in my work, Claudia, we have this thing with coaches where we teach people how to do an information interview. So for
Okay.
instance, if my daughter wanted to be a doctor, I would say, "Sweetie, let's do an information interview." She goes, "Daddy, what's that?" I go, "I have 3 friends who are physicians. They've been physicians for quite a few years. They have families, and I want you to go interview them and find out what it's like to be a physician." And then my daughter says, like, "I don't understand that." I said, "Well, you may find out that they rarely see their family. You may find out that the pay is not what you thought it would be. And then after you gain this information from people who have the real experiential, you may say, Daddy, I don't want to be a doctor." So when I look
Hmm.
at Claudia Sharon, here's a woman who's lost almost 250 pounds.
Hmm.
She's done it, right? And she did it with a discernment, as you say, where she just figured it out. She got support from God. She has an amazing story. So I want you to go to her and do an information interview. Ask her questions,
Hmm.
right? That you need to know, because she's done it.
Yeah.
And then that information become yours, and it gets you excited about where you're headed. So if you don't mind, Claudia, I would love Sharon if she would role play with you. And well,
Of
actually, it's not
course.
even role playing. Just
Yeah.
ask her some
Just.
questions.
Yeah.
Well, I apologize, because you may have already said this, but I came in, I think, just as you were about to say what it was that made you just say, "Stop! I'm going to the park. I'm not doing this again." What was the tipping point that made you say, "I cannot stand being 450 pounds anymore," or whatever, 430 pounds? What was the tipping point? What made it happen?
um like I was sharing with Robert, was seeing my cousin passed away, and we had the same body type. He was morbidly obese. He was, about 400 pounds, maybe a little less, but we had the same body type. And seeing that it took us a while to get his coffin, because it wasn't just your standard coffin. And then me like going up to see him, because it was a viewing, it was an open casket, and just me seeing that body, I seen my face there. And it was really tough, right? But what those 4 or 5 months, because he passed away December 30th of 2015. So I come back home, and January, February, March, and April, I went into like this I don't want to say depression, but I went into, like, I started like eating a lot, like I just
Eating
started
more.
eating so much. Yes, until I had like this I woke up one day and I had a dream of my little girl not being able to wake me up, and not waking up, and my ex, at that time we lived together, him doing his life again, meeting someone, and my kids, having a stepmom. And this was my point. A, she was going to be the wicked witch the evil stepmom that was going to give my kids a living hell, or she was going to be the most amazing, amazing mom. She was going to be the most greatest, amazing mom. And that is what I said. Neither. She's not going to be mean, and she's definitely not going to take my place. So move away, lady. I didn't even know who she was, but in my mind, I already created her. And I said, you're not going to be neither of them. So I'm just going to step in for my kids and for myself. And that was my pivotal point,
Okay,
you
so
know?
when you started doing this, it sounds like your ex was, it's hard for anybody to change. It's like he was used to you the way you were, and he
Yes.
could put you down the way you were, and he couldn't put you down anymore, and I can understand that. Meanwhile, your daughter is observing all of it.
Yes.
What was her response to you starting to take care of yourself? Did she go, "Yay, mom," or did she just like, "What's going on here?"
I think, she was so young that at the beginning, I would just step away and be like, I'll be right back. I'm going to go to the park. And I would leave them with him. I would leave both of them. And she kind of, pulled the strings because he was so checked out. He was kind of, I guess, mad that I would take off and I wasn't home because I always was home. I always catered. I always was the submissive, I grew up very old school Mexican Catholic where you're a mom and you need to forget about the woman that you are, and you are a wife and you are a mom first before you are a woman. And so that didn't sit right. And I said, no, it doesn't make sense. So um I think with her now, she's 15 years old and she's seen, and I'm so proud of her because her friends don't, she doesn't have the mindset that her friends have. She's very goal oriented, she's so vibrant and she knows what she wants out of life because she has seen it. I've never hid anything from my kids. I will never hide anything from my kids. There's certain thing as women, that we don't just talk about, but as far as how I started my weight loss journey and all the things that I've been through, she's seen it. My ex was, he was a alcoholic. He still is. And I said, you know what? I don't want her to grow up with a drunk dad because I know what it's like to grow up with a drunk dad. So there was a lot of other things that came with this journey, was me breaking the cycles of, I don't
Yeah.
want to grow up with a drunk. I already know what it's like to grow up with a drunk dad. I know what it's like to live with a drunk man.
Mm.
I know that. So I don't want her to go through that. So it stops with me, you know?
So so another thing that comes forward for me is the loneliest I've ever been is when I was married. On my
Wow.
own, I love myself. I like my
Yeah.
company. I like what my and huh? And I'm lonely and we don't talk, blah blah. Anyway,
Yeah.
so did you find that, but I didn't go on my own to lose 250 pounds. I am so
Mm.
impressed with you. Did you
Thank
go
you.
through a period of like deep loneliness in all of this, or did it actually clear the loneliness for you? Like, I bet you're less lonely now than you were when you were with
Oh,
your ex.
you know what? Even when he was around, I never really felt lonely because I've always just been this woman that just gives love. Like I'm always giving
Right,
love to everyone. I just never gave love to myself.
right.
But I never felt lonely because I was always surrounded by so many people. Um, it's almost like I was the light for other people's, darkness. So I never felt like I was lonely, but I did feel like I always felt less than.
I
It wasn't
understand
that
that.
I wasn't lonely. It was more like I felt less than. Like I was the biggest woman in the room, yet no one seen me,
Right.
you
I
know?
understand that.
I
Totally.
wasn't I was the biggest one, but I was the less visible one.
Yeah.
And now I don't feel lonely at all. Why? Because I took myself on a date the other day. I actually had a date with myself, and I never do that. I never had done that before. I took myself on a date and I was just like, I'm going to go on a date with the most amazing person in the world, and that was me. There was no one else. And it goes back to just doing everything out of your heart, doing everything out of love, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So that was great. And thank you for that. That was a great question, Sharon. I want to
Yes.
play a little game for about 10 minutes. It's like rapid fire. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask a question, and then as fast as you can answer the question, Claudia,
Hmm.
then Sharon's gonna ask a question. So
Okay.
it's like we want to make it rapid, right?
Sure. Hmm.
These are the
Let's go. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Something quick. We don't want to, so don't
Of course.
even though you could probably explain it better if you took
Hmm.
2 minutes, try to keep it as short as possible as far as your answer. Sound
Of
like a
course.
plan?
Yes. I'm
Okay.
ready.
So my first question to you is um you've lost the weight, you love yourself, your kids are doing well. What happens when you see your ex? Does he say, "Hey, you look amazing"? What does he say?
I actually seen him last week because I went to go look for him, and he doesn't really say much because he's so involved in his drugs right now. He's very involved in drugs. So, but I will tell you that there was a time where he would just look at me and admire me, and he's like, "I just want you to know that if I loved you at 400 pounds, I still love you right now." And I would just say, "Thank you," But I'm sure it's really hard for him. I'm sure it's very hard for him.
Thank you.
Hmm.
So I was just thinking about clothes. Clothes have always been my bugaboo, and my whole life. So did you feel like when you were 400 pounds, what did you do about clothes, and how did you start getting dressing? I mean, I'm serious. Dressing is an issue.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you know what? It was actually an issue because, like I said, I worked in an office environment for 20 years. So I just remember always wearing stretchy black pants, the faded glory from Walmart, just plain black pants. And it was a challenge for me to buy clothes because, at that time, it wasn't so popular like it is now, having, like the BBW movement, big, beautiful women, and, the plus size. I normally would shop like at the Avenue or Fashion Bug, which that clothes looked like for older women, and it didn't resemble my youth. I would look. I didn't want to wear butterflies, that look like a 70 or 80-year-old woman. But I slowly started transitioning, but it was hard because big clothes for big women is expensive. It really
Yeah.
is expensive. So I would kind of I would go to the thrift stores and see I would find myself some tops. Sometimes my mom would make me certain tops. Like I struggled when it came to clothes, let me tell you. I
But
sure
then as
did.
you started to lose weight, you've probably gone through several wardrobes already. Is it
Oh yeah.
fun for you to buy new clothes now, or is it
Yes.
because it's still hard? It's hard for me. I remember
Yes.
one time when it was like when I get to
Hmm.
110 pounds, I would pass I Miller in New York, and they had these beautiful suits and really
Hmm.
expensive clothes, and I had money in those days, and I'd pass the store and say,
Hmm.
when I get to this weight, I'm going to go buy myself one of these suits. Well, they put
Yeah.
I did, and I put on a size 0, and I looked like dopey. It was so big on me. It was
Wow.
I was so disappointed that I got to the weight I wanted to be at, and I still couldn't
Hmm.
buy clothes. And I was willing to pay $1,000. I
Yeah.
couldn't, and
Yeah.
it was very discouraging. Guess what? I gained the weight back. You know,
Yeah. You know what I could share with you, and actually it happened today, and thank you for and I'm going to talk about it. I always had a thing with crop tops, like tops that are just they come up to like right here.
yeah.
One, because my stomach was so big, right? And because everything started from my private. So I would always hide it. And today I actually had on a crop top, and I even my girlfriends, we were at the park, and they're all like, "Oh, you're wearing a crop top." And I said, "I know I feel uncomfortable, but I kind of like it. It's just coming out of my comfort zone and just getting out of my own head and realizing that
I
I deserve to wear a crop top."
I still go through that, and I go to Pilates all the time, and and I do have some skinny pants so that I can wear and so I can exercise. But
Mhm.
the idea of really getting an exercise outfit, having it's like I don't want to spend the money on that, but it's
Yeah.
still an issue for me. And I
Yeah.
think it goes back to that self-esteem and self-love, that there's another layer for me to go through. And I'm looking at
Yeah.
you and I am inspired. I am
Thank
inspired
you.
to myself.
Okay,
And that,
can we get back to the rapid fire part?
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean,
Yes. I'm ready.
I mean,
Clothing is very important. Let me tell you. I shopped at thrift
okay.
stores for a long time because I
clothing
couldn't
is
keep up.
huge. And bras. How about a bra?
and, and, and
Bra
I'm
and
not saying.
panties.
And remember, back and forth, Sharon. We're supposed to go back and forth.
Okay, Robert, your turn.
Well, thank God,
Your
thank
turn.
goodness we're not on broadcast national television, right? Okay, so my next question for you, Claudia, is: you've lost all this weight, you are where you
Uh-huh.
are. What's their response to what you've done?
You know, my parents, they don't really share much, but I know and I see it in their eyes that they're very proud of me. My dad, you know, he doesn't, my parents are very old school, so they don't know how to express themselves, you know. But I will tell you that when I hear them talk about me to other people,
Mm-hmm.
that's like my reward because they don't really actually say it to me, but I hear the way they express themselves about me, and that's good enough for me, you know. I'm all for it,
Okay,
you know.
Sharon.
So you have two kids. You have a daughter and a son. Is he
Yes.
younger or
Uh-huh.
older than your daughter?
Rosario, she is 15, and Ezekiel, he is 12. Mhm.
Okay, so does Ezekiel have any reaction or response to any of this?
You know, Ezekiel is a mama's boy. And he just wants to he's like an old soul. He's very calm and he just wants to see me happy. You know, I truly believe that kids, and I honestly say it, is kids don't want I speak about my kids as they love to see me happy. Why? Because it's also a reflection of what I give them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I give them safetyness, which is something that I craved for a long time. I seeked safetyness, and I make sure that they're safe. And they're both my biggest fans, you know. But him in the position that he is as a young man, um, I make sure that we're constantly in communication. And I think that's another thing why I haven't dated yet, because I really enjoy spending time with my kids. I learned so much from them actually, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what I would like to do, Sharon, I want you to think about. You get one more question.
Oh no, it's your turn. Yeah.
No, no,
Yeah, it
I'm
is
just
your
saying.
turn.
Well, I mean, it is, but I'm saying that we're going to be closing up, right? We're
Okay.
going to wrap it up. So I want Sharon. You can ask whatever question you want, and then I'm going to ask whatever question I want. But before we go there, Claudia, my last question in the rapid fire is this: when you see a woman that's over 400 pounds, over 300 pounds, 250 pounds, and you see her in the store, you see her walking um, at the park, like, do you ever just want to go and talk to these women, or for the ones who are sitting at home right now feeling like they're never going to be successful, what can you share with those who are in the struggle or looking at the struggle that could help them?
I do get really frustrated when I see women that look like me or that they're morbidly obese. But I also recognize that that's also their journey. And I probably wouldn't have liked if someone would have just came up to me and said, "Hey, I can help you lose weight." But we're in different times now where I would love to help women, and what I would share with them is give yourself the opportunity to get to know yourself honestly, and see the power and the capacity that you have. Because if you believe in other people, why wouldn't you believe in yourself? If you were able to believe in Santa Claus, you were able to believe in all these other things, why can't you just give yourself that opportunity to believe in yourself, that you can be a healthy, and this is not vanity, this is straight up healthy. Like, give yourself the opportunity to live a a, a healthy, honorable lifestyle, you
Hmm.
know?
The other thing I heard is that you had to get honest with yourself. You had to be
Mhm.
honest with yourself and notice
Mhm.
what you ate that got you to 400 pounds. I know
Mhm.
people who are overweight and they have no they have no, well, it's not my fault. And they make excuses and,
Mhm.
well, I deserve this treat and stuff.
Mhm.
How did you get honest, get real?
It had to do with my body movement because I became it became it's all put together, right? Um, when I would eat crappy, I had ugly workouts. And now I could
Um,
tell you that I love working out. I love working out. It's part of, I wake up at, I'm part of, I always say I'm part of the 5 a.m. club. Why? Because I wake up every day early in the morning. I set my intention for the day. I meditate and then I get up and I make it to my 5 a.m. class. And so that 5 a.m. class makes me realize that I'm gonna have a good day. And when I don't make it to 5 a.m. class and I go to the 7 p.m. class and I have a shitty day that of eating, my workouts, they're not good. And so it all just kind of, it's a ripple effect, right? Everything, you combine everything, your mindset, your food, your body movement. Body movement is important because we have so many emotions trapped in there and we got to release them. We got to
I
learn
got,
how
I
to,
got
even if you
one
just start walking.
I got one last quick question. I
Yes.
know that this was not a smooth, easy journey for you. And
Mhm.
how do you have, um, like a pattern interrupt that you do if you start to hear yourself judging yourself, like you're having a shitty day,
Mhm.
you didn't get to the 5 a.m. class. Do you have a way of being kind to yourself that changes the old pattern of beating yourself up? Because you had to have
Yeah.
beaten yourself up before.
Oh, all the time. Yeah, I used to do it. Now it's I just honor myself, honestly. I'm more patient with myself and
Mm.
I recognize as soon as I meditate a lot and you could say my life is very boring because I just
But you
I
get up at
focus.
5 to go to the class, but you must get up at 4 to meditate and
Yes.
be ready for the
Um
class.
yeah, a lot of people tell me it must be really hard to wake up early. No, it's not. You know what's hard? Is going to sleep
Yeah,
early,
early enough. Same
you
problem.
know.
Yeah.
So it's really just coming back to myself and say, you know what, it's okay if you had a crappy day, recognizing it and learning from it and then just move along, just let it go, because what happened yesterday I have no control over it. I choose to live in the present moment every single day. I'm here right now. The rest
That's so
doesn't
awesome.
matter. I live in the past, I'm depressed. If I live in the future, I have anxiety. So I
Anxiety.
stay here right now. I'm here right now.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
love it. I love
Love
it.
it.
Thank you.
What I also love is I've spent probably over $100,000 learning what you taught yourself. And that's so powerful. It's like I need teachers and I need mentors and I need books and I need courses and I need, bullshit.
Mhm.
What I need is
Yeah.
to love myself. All I
Uh-huh.
need is to love myself and love
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
and
You could
everything else.
journal too.
Well, and I have a journal process that is amazing, but
Yeah.
I do all this stuff, and if I do it from outside myself, I don't
Hmm.
get the same effect as when I do it from the place of loving myself
Yes.
and God,
Yes.
and everybody else that I love has to come after. I can't, and it's a challenge for me because right now I'm taking care of my
Mhm.
two older sisters, and a lot of times I'll end up canceling my Pilates class because I got to go do something with them, and I need to take care of them, but I also need to take care of myself. So
Can I share something with you? Something
Mhm.
that could help you is know your position in your sister's life and in your life. Know where you stand. Know where you stand, because guess what? You're always going to have the outside, hey Sharon, can you do this, hey, can you do this, but you know what, no, I have to do this. And that's where I was telling Robert about, it's not you setting boundaries to your sisters or anyone, it's boundaries to yourself and setting that appointment for yourself every day. Just kind of like right now, right? Robert told us that we were going to meet at X amount of time and you made it work, right? So now start implementing that every single day to your mind, you know?
Yeah.
Make that appointment for yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we went from triple digits to 50 degrees in the morning. It's annoying.
Yeah, it is. The cold is not my friend, let me tell you. I vote for summer every day.
I'd rather it be 100 degrees than 50.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Sharon, listening to Claudia's story,
Yeah.
what's the take home for you? What's one thing that you feel like you've gotten from Claudia today that you can apply, or maybe it's a reminder, but somehow use as a tool that's going to help move you forward towards your goals?
I think her decision and her constant and her commitment, her focus, her every single I'm going, I'm doing this. And regardless of how she felt, she went
Yeah.
and she
Yeah.
moved and she did what
Yeah.
she did. And it's the and I heard you say something yesterday about it's the decision. Like when you're talking, like you don't even need to get on a scale because you know you work in your program and it's going to have a
Mhm.
result, you know.
Yes.
And I need to trust. I need to take myself to that deeper level of trust and
Yeah.
tune everything else out, you know, and see what happens. I mean, it's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm beautiful. It's great. I'm healthy. I'm 78 years old, looking good.
Mhm.
And I know I can do better and
Yeah.
I can be healthier and I can be slimmer and I can saunter into a room, which I've never been able to do. I mean, I still was like, well, when I lose the weight, then I can saunter. I've never been
Yeah.
able to saunter into a room. I'll bet you could saunter into a room. And yesterday I saw a beautiful woman with
Like, what do
tall,
you mean by saunter?
just have a presence. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
so I didn't even know what that word meant.
Yeah. Discipline over discipline over motivation, because motivation doesn't last. It's your
Yeah,
discipline and being conscious. You have to live in a conscious state of mind every day, every day,
yeah, it
every
is.
single
And
day.
that's one of my strengths is
Mhm.
self-awareness because
Yes.
you know and I am fairly honest with myself.
Yeah.
But I know
Fairly honest?
well,
Because I don't think Claudia came across as fairly honest.
no, she came across as 100% honest
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
So is that something
But
that maybe you could work on, Sharon, is learning how to be more
Uh-huh.
honest?
yeah, yeah, I can. And I work on that with you. It's like we did this coaching for like at least a year before I ever got honest with him. And one day I just started to cry and told the truth
Yeah,
about how vulnerable.
after she went off on me.
Uh-huh. But you also have to
No,
you
I'm
also
not
have to
talking about that time. I'm not
I'm
talking
just
about that
kidding.
time.
Sharon, I'm joking.
but
I'm joking.
Sharon,
I'm
you
talking
know what
about
I could share
myself.
with you
Yeah,
is also keep in mind that your surroundings matter. It matters how you react, what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your heart. It's what you also, and it's not only what you consume, it's what you consume and what you consume.
yeah.
It's all together. It's your TV, it's your radio. Remember, like I shared with you guys when I met you guys, is the program is meant to program you. So reprogram your mind,
Yeah. Up
you
until
know?
recently, I didn't even own a TV, frankly. I mean, I
Yeah.
just stay away from it. And now I watch
Yeah.
things like Diagnosis Murder, you know,
Yeah.
Matlock,
Yeah.
Murder She Wrote. I don't watch mainstream things at
Yeah.
all because I'm afraid of getting programmed, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
commercials come on, and
Mhm.
I turn them off because I don't want to be programmed by them, you
Yeah.
know. And but I agree. And there's more. There's always more self-love available.
Uh,
Right.
And
I
part of
could
it is
tell
I
you.
would say
Uh-huh.
all these loving things and then
Mhm.
and I could talk the talk, but
Mhm.
was I wasn't feeling I wasn't feeling myself. I wasn't feeling my vision, my dream. I was just, it was all intellectual. I wasn't in
Yes,
my
a lot of
heart. I
healing.
was in my head.
Right.
And we
Mhm.
have to drop into your heart to get
Yeah.
real.
All right, you guys. We
And
we are we do have
healing.
to go ahead, Claudia.
Stay in it. That's it. That all I could tell you is stay in it. Don't
Right.
remove yourself from it. Stay in it. Stay in that mentality. Stay in that vibration. Stay in that frequency, and you will get the results that you truly want because you just
Absolutely.
have to visualize it. That's
Okay,
all.
Ab-
now,
That's all you have to do.
so Claudia, do you agree with what Susie is saying here as you read that?
Yes, healing. Heal. That's how I was able to lose weight. Is I started healing. There's nothing's gonna help you until you heal, and then you start, when you start healing parts of why you overeat. There's something, there's a cord that is connected to your overeating, to you not trusting in yourself. And that's where I started healing. I started healing that little girl. I started healing that teenager. I started healing that young adult. I started healing. Healing is the best medicine for yourself. It's healing parts of you that we didn't know. We didn't know the things that we know now.
Yeah.
You're healing, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I would
And she's absolutely correct.
so the one thing that I would share with you, Claudia, Claudia's going to be a coach
I
soon.
hope
Yes, I
so. She
am.
needs to
Yeah.
be one of your
Hmm.
coaches.
Yeah,
Yes, I am.
she's gonna rock it. And I'll tell you this in my experience: when you meet someone like Claudia, who will do the work, and you actually, because she had to figure it out on her own,
Huh?
that says a whole bunch about a person. Imagine if I was coaching her and she had that same discernment and that same commitment. I've had
Ooh.
clients like that. And the one lady that I coached that lost 290 pounds, she was Claudia.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I just was there for her.
But
But
do you think you made her journey a little easier when
oh,
she
I mean, I made her journey extremely easy. That's why what I love about Claudia is that she figured it out.
Yeah,
Like
I love it.
like what you did, Claudia, in the world of health, weight loss,
Hmm.
nutrition, what you did is is mind blowing. Because you're looking at your environment, you're looking at your
Thank
past,
you.
you're looking at things you overcame, you're looking at we know, I mean, we know how challenging it can be. And to
And
not
if you
have
if
you had God, so we
Yes.
can't, overlook that. But most people
Yeah.
don't know how to tap into
Yeah.
their relationship with God to help them.
Yeah.
if you had met
Yes, that is
Robert
correct.
100 pounds into your weight loss, and would you have tuned him out and said, "Nope, I'm doing this. I got it handled. I don't need Robert," and kept on going on your own? Or do you think you would have welcomed that assistance? Because the reason I asked that
I
question is
think
I
I
was.
would have. Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
Uh-huh.
You think
I
you
think
would
I
have?
would have, honestly, and not because I'm here right now. I would have given myself the opportunity because I would have avoided a lot of other things, and in my weight loss journey, I did gain weight. It was like this, but I stayed in it. I committed to myself, but I still would overeat. I would cheat myself. I would, and having someone that was going to guide me and help me, I know it would have been a little easier. I didn't allow myself to give the opportunity. I never did, you know. I just
'Cause
figured I
when I
did this
was
to
checking out,
myself.
I was just
Uh,
checking out of the grocery store on my way here, and this guy, I said, "Yeah, I'm late to a Zoom. I'm a guest on," and he said, "Can I ask you what's the subject of the Zoom?" And I said, I work with a world renowned nutritionist who helps people lose lose weight, get healthier without being on a diet, and educates people." And he said, "Oh, I don't need that. I just lost 100 pounds on my own. I don't need to. I don't need to see that at all." And I thought,
yeah,
he's proud of him. I said, "You look good. You're not going to gain it back. You're doing great." But it was, but that narrow, I can't let anything else in is what happens a lot. And
Mm.
especially when you've got all
yeah,
those mixed messages coming at you. So you're
yeah.
saying you would have let it in if you'd had an opportunity.
Absolutely. if and to this day, I'm very, now I know how to be more vulnerable. I know how to let people in. Keep in mind that I made a 430-pound woman so that no one would come around me, and that's not only just men in a sexual way or in a dating way, but just in general. Like, I wouldn't let anyone come around me, because you start blocking so many things. And because honestly, that society is mean to you when you're overweight. When you're morbidly obese, they just think, oh, she's just lazy and she just eats and she's just dirty and fat. But there's more to us,
Right, right.
and then having someone with the knowledge that Robert has, and the approach has a lot to do with it.
Right.
And I think that's the main key, is the knowledge and the approach is how he makes that particular person feel, you know
You are going to
giving
be one
giving
of
them
his
that
most
that
amazing
space.
coaches.
Yeah,
Thank you.
she's already a coach. We're just
Yeah.
gonna just give her
Yes.
some additional tools. She already has it. So I want to say thank both of you. We went
Yes.
about 35 minutes over.
Thank you.
I know, that's why I was going to say, leave me out so you don't waste your time.
It's all
But
good.
I mean, I'm gonna tell
It
you
was
right now, Claudia. I mean, I could talk to you for hours. So
Right.
this is great. So we will definitely do a part 2, part 3,
yes.
and thank you, Sharon, for being here as well.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm right here.
All
I'm
right, you
Yes.
guys.
Thank you for
I'm
this
honored
space,
to
Robert.
be
You
in
can
Thank
this
tell
you,
that
Sharon.
the
It was good
lighting
to
has
see you again.
the lighting has changed. You see Claudia's lighting in
Yeah,
her.
it's getting dark.
It's getting dark
Okay.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here,
And
let me see.
I'll
Let me
be
see
in
if I can turn
Vegas
it on.
soon.
Hold on.
Oh, okay. When you're coming back. Okay.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah. I'll be in Vegas, and the goal is to be in Vegas on a regular basis.
Good.
Yeah,
All right.
that
Good.
is the
Yes.
goal.
Because we're going to be doing
Especially
a lot
like
of big things, Robert.
yes, well, having a coach in Vegas also, like when you start going, then I'll be there to support you and to help
Yes.
you like grow your business in
Perfect.
Vegas, because I know a lot of people in Vegas and a lot of connecting. So
Yes.
we'll all be together soon.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, you guys
Thank
have a
you.
great rest of your
I love
weekend,
it.
and thank you for everything, Claudia, and thank you, Sharon.
Claudia, you are
Thank you. Have
very
a good night.
special.
I appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
All right, you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank
All
you.
right, bye
We will
bye.
connect again.
Yes, we
Bye-bye.
will. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye bye. Okay, you guys, you heard it right there. This is an amazing story. Look at this lady. She did the work, and you got to hear it from her. She's the real deal. She's a special person, and I'm very thankful to call her a friend. And I'm looking forward to working with her and introducing her to as many people as I can, so she could help them. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about, is putting ourselves in a position where we can help others. And if we can help others, that makes for a better tomorrow. So I'm Robert Ferguson. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm going to let you hear my song one more time as we say goodbye. And until the next one, God bless. And remember, like, subscribe, comment. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we are on a mission, especially in 2025, to really grow this thing. So everything is coming together. The next thing is really just keep doing what we're doing. And that is coming from a place where we truly want to make a difference in the lives of people. So until the next one, God bless you. Gotta go. Peace out.
A world of tanks is a new way to see. No more counting calories, just living free. Robert Ferguson's got the plan you need. With diet-free life, it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see you through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome, feeling so right.